Welcome to a muzzled chat. I'm really excited for today. We have Kim on the line. She's a patriot, a mother, a grandmother, a businesswoman, an entrepreneur, very successful, very busy. So I'm really excited to have her on today. She's got some pretty crazy news, and I believe it should just prepare us and sound the alarm on kind of the state of the world, and as it is in our country, what we could do to prepare a bit, and yeah, just a whole bunch of things. So Kim, welcome to a muzzle chat. How you doing today?
I'm good, James. How are you?
You know, I'm doing all right. I appreciate you asking. I wish I could effectively get out of my own way, right? But I can't let myself get in my own way with these things, because all the listeners here know the battles like I'm struggling with. But if anything, every episode they could sit there and judge, that's fine. But it's exposing like how important it is we all focus on our health, right? So
Absolutely. And we all know your battle with Lyme, and it's more prevalent than anybody even knows. The medical profession knows absolutely nothing about Lyme disease. Nothing.
Right.
They're very illiterate on that. There's very few people that are experts in that arena, and finding your way to the right people is very difficult. I have a friend whose daughter, we believe, has Lyme disease, and she's deteriorating terribly. She's 22 years old, and she's in a world of hurt. And so we're hoping we can get her to the right people.
Right.
But it's been a struggle. I've been working with her for a couple of years of trying to get her to the right folks that can diagnose it for starters. But
right.
Yeah. There's just a lot going on in our world, and it's very disheartening at times. But we have to keep faith and just believe that there's a plan that God has for us, and that we can stand and all do the right thing, and be warriors for Christ.
Well, my heart goes out to her for her struggles, and that's why I'm just trying to get out of my own way, fight tooth and nail to expose this for what it is, bring awareness so we can up the protocols and just pave the way for those that are ailed by this bioweapon and these diseases to effectively get their quality of life back. Like, if you don't have your health, you don't have anything. So my heart truly goes out, and yeah, that's unfortunate and sad. But so my hat is off to you, Kim, because as busy as you are, you continually impress me as we communicate just how informed you are on current events. Just you're seeing through all the gaslighting and the lies, and you're just doing your due diligence. And I believe you're a great example for so many. No matter how busy you are, you cannot afford to be ignorant anymore. You cannot. Like, everything else kind of goes out the window and will be in vain if we don't kind of right the ship right here, right now. And with that being said, like, our country is being infiltrated. In a way, I believe we're already a conquered country with the level of infiltration and manipulation and bribing and everything that's going on with their own government. They're failing to fulfill their one purpose, protecting we the people. And it's horrific, this story that you were sharing with me about your son. You wanna dive into that, or
yeah,
your son's friend?
My son lives in Morgantown, West Virginia.
Okay.
And he's been there for about 4 or 5 years. He had a best friend that he met when he first moved to West Virginia. This kid was a wonderful young man. He works for the university. He was in the advertising and sports marketing department of the university. My son went to basketball and football games, and they belonged to the same gym, and they baseball in the summertime together. This kid was 26 years old. His name is Jacob Lau, and he was brutally murdered a month ago by a guy who should never have been on the street. We haven't been able to determine if the guy that murdered him is an illegal. That has not been verified, but strong suspicions that's the case. This guy came up to Morgantown from Dallas, Fort Worth, Texas. This guy had kidnapped a 15-year-old girl in July, and the girl got away from him. She ended up getting away from him. So they arrest him, and then they let him go.
Wow.
So lo and behold, a few months later, he ends up takes a plane to Pittsburgh. From Pittsburgh, he takes a bus to Morgantown, checks into a Hampton Inn in the center of campus, and he's there for about a week and a half. The campus police are the ones that found the guy. But what had happened was he had been walking up and down the streets, these really nice neighborhoods, and was casing houses. And so the night that Jake was murdered, they could see this guy on ring cameras. He was going up to houses trying to get in. And he'd gone to Jake's, and he tried to open the front door, and that was locked. And then the ring camera shows he disappears off camera. So he went around to the back of the house, and he made his way in through either an open door or an unlocked door or an open window or an unlocked window. Jacob was stabbed 107 times. Gosh. The coroner stopped initially at 100 times. But this guy stabbed him 107 times.
That is horrific. A 26-year-old man, young man, with his whole life ahead of him. That.
Yes.
Yeah, I remember, and this is what's crazy. Like you guys have actually sent me articles that I've looked into, and he looks like, even
All-American kid.
Yeah.
Just from a wonderful family, 4 boys.
Wow.
Just a wonderful family. He was a George Mason graduate and was a West Virginia master's degree. Just everything you would want and be proud of for your son. And so my son's saying, he's really struggling. He and his friends are still struggling with his friend's death. And they've done some vigils, and my son said the funeral, there were over 400 people at his funeral.
Well, how do you cope with something so horrific, and that they had this gentleman for freaking kidnapping a little girl, and they release him? Like, what is going on in this country?
Well, that's the problem is you have cities that have no bail. So these people that commit violent crimes, and then they're released.
Right.
And it happens in Chicago, it happens in New York, it happens in Dallas, Fort Worth, it happens all over. And that's, unfortunately, these are the George Soros puppets that have been put in place to run our local governments.
Right.
And I have to say something, James. You said this guy's not a gentleman. He's a thug. And a criminal.
You're right. Yeah, you're right.
And you know what? And I can't even imagine what his mom and dad are going through. I think they're right now in such a state of shock because this was so violent.
Right.
I just can't imagine myself in that position. I can't imagine that I would be shouting from every rooftop.
Right.
I would be standing in front of every television camera, every newspaper, anybody that would, give me the time of day. I'd be screaming to the heavens. This is so wrong. And what's happening is we're infiltrated with millions of these people.
See,
this is 10 million we know of coming across our border.
Right.
And I just want to say one thing.
Yes.
Right now, I am so frustrated with our Congress.
Right.
And I'm talking about Republicans as well as Democrats.
Oh, yeah.
The Democrat Party is become, a communist party.
Yeah.
Sorry,
you're right.
But they are. And our Republicans are also compromised.
Right.
These guys that have been in office for a long time, you're talking about the Mitch McConnells of the world. Mm-hmm. You're talking about, I'm sorry, but the guy's compromised. I'm sorry, but this is a topic for another day. Another day. The bioweapons labs in Ukraine, sorry, Burisma.
Mm-hmm.
His sons, Mitt Romney's sons, were involved in that, as well as Nancy Pelosi's sons, as well as John Kerry's sons,
Right.
along with Hunter Biden. They were all compromised in these bioweapon labs.
Right.
That we've shut down. But I don't listen to the news anymore. I don't get my news from the mainstream media. I've turned off because they're a bunch of liars. We're just propaganda. So I read a lot of books. I probably read 2 to 3 books a week. I travel a lot for business, and I'm on an airplane several times a week. So I read constantly and listen to podcasts. So I'm just gonna just find other sources to get my information. But unfortunately, most people don't have time to do that, to be informed. But I woke up a couple of years ago and said, you know what? I just don't believe anything that's coming out of our mainstream media. I think it's all, mockingbird media. I just think that they're compromised as well. So I think it's going to take everybody to really wake up. I think we're at a crossroads in our country where we have to stand up and say, I'm not going to listen to this anymore. I'm going to turn my TV off. I'm going to try to, inform myself as much as possible. And then I'm going to stand up and say, no, I'm not.
Tell them, Kim. Tell them.
I'm not going to stay silent anymore.
Good. We can't afford it.
Hits home.
Right.
This is all hitting home. And we are at such a critical tipping point in our country. Are we going to be free? Mm-hmm. Or are we going to be taken over by the communists or the Nazis?
Right.
Same ball of wax. And I think there's the people at the very top, the elite, the global elite, the one world order. I mean, years ago, if you said that to anybody, they'd look at you like you had 3 heads. Today, it's really becoming apparent.
It's clear. Yeah.
That is the people are just groupthink, and they're hypnotized into their, daily activities. But it's like, no, our country is really at a tipping point.
Right.
And we really have to wake up and say, what is going on in our local governments? What is going on with our county, our commissioners, our mayors, our city council people?
Right.
And that's where I think it really has to start. Our Congress people, our senators, I think 90% of them are compromised. I really do. I think that they've been paid off by the Chinese, by the Russians, by the Romanians, by whoever. Well, our government's for sale.
Even Israel.
Israel, absolutely Israel.
Right.
Absolutely.
It's wild.
And I've been, supportive of democracy in Israel, but when Congress is trying to pass a bill, a $68 billion bill to give to Ukraine and to give to Israel, and not a penny for our border, our borders are wide open.
After already, 165 billion already sent over there? It's insane.
I think it's closer to 200 billion.
Right.
Minimum, and probably more.
Probably.
When we don't give a penny to protect our own borders.
Right.
And what's happening is this money just gets laundered, and it gets back into certain politicians' pockets.
Right.
Right. It's going to John Kerry. It's going to Mitch McConnell. It's going to Mitt Romney. It's going to. There's a list of people that it is, high government. The Clintons.
Yep.
The Bushes. It's all going into their coffers, into their campaign coffers.
Well, Kim, if I may...
That's our tax dollars.
Yeah, if I may, let me connect a couple dots for people, because that's what I'm essentially trying to do here, right? Like, people, we need to connect effectively enough dots to trigger within individuals to no longer excuse themselves, because a lot of the, I guess, walls I've seen people have, like, kind of constructed, it's just... We've been very self-serving, especially here in America, and self-centered, and chasing our whatever our inner desires, as though, like. So I want to challenge some people's, kind of think, if you will, where they they construct this narrative in their head like, well, what difference am I going to make? And and it's just a lie, right? Because uh, we are the checks and balances to ensure everything operates as designed. And we've gotten complacent and we've allowed, so through unity, and that's why the rulers essentially are fighting tooth and nail to create all this smoke and mirrors and division among the people, so we can't effectively uh, turn against and address the actual issues at hand. We're too caught up in the fluff of everything. But then also the selfish self-centeredness of people where they're like, well, I'm not being impacted, what does it matter, right? But
Yeah, but we all are being
right,
impacted. We're being impacted by the crime
exactly.
on the street. And
Exactly.
you
So
can
that's
be
why I think the mass
victim
awakening
of the best.
is happening, is because enough people are seeing it. But the reality of it is, like, it's just like my dang disease or bioweapon. Why was it I myself had to be afflicted to even become aware of its existence?
Yeah.
We shouldn't have to wait till one of our family members gets horrifically murdered by a knife in the middle of the night to say, there's an issue. We literally live in a war zone. This is unacceptable. Now, I know that's kind of a horrific analogy, but the reality of this story, what you're bringing up, like, my heart goes out to the family and friends and your son and you and everyone that knew this fine young man that was horrifically murdered. And that's why I was just, you're a warrior to come on and champion the story and expose it, because I guess it hasn't made any type of mainstream news. It had.
No, it's been very, very little about it in the
Right.
mainstream media. They had a small blurb in the newspaper. They just said this, Jacob was, stabbed multiple times. No,
Wow.
107 times.
Wow.
That is like unbelievable. And this guy should never have been on the street.
Right.
And the fact that, he was walking around and casing people's homes.
Right.
And it's like, what in the world? And they're really keeping it very quiet. My husband and I were at a convention last weekend in Vegas, and for our business, and we were on our way over to the convention center. We're on the buses that take you from the hotel to the convention center, and there was a couple from Morgantown sitting next to us.
Oh, wow.
And he said, "Oh, we're from Morgantown." I go, "Oh, my son lives there." I said, "Did you hear about the horrible murder 2 weeks ago?" And they went, "What?" I said, "Yeah, my son's best friend was murdered, a horrific murder." They're like, "No,
wow.
We haven't heard a thing." I said, "Are you kidding me?" And I gave him his name, and I showed him the little piece that was in the newspaper. I said, "This is all that's been said." And I don't even think if it made the news cycle on the media, there was just a small blurb, but they're keeping it so quiet.
Wow.
I think they don't want people to panic, because this is a university town.
Right.
And I don't think they want it out there that, this happened, and, how many other potential people are walking around should not be around. But we're letting people into our country. We have no idea who they are, where they're from, what their intentions are. I mean, our borders are wide open.
Yeah, what stories are they sweeping under the rugs right here in our own neighborhoods?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, look at all the break-ins that are happening around North Scottsdale. There hasn't been a lot of media attention on that. Yeah. They're keeping that pretty quiet.
Right.
These are organized gangs that are coming in and breaking into homes, and they're in and out within 5 minutes.
Wow.
So that's right here in Scottsdale, Arizona. I mean, that's happening right here.
Well, I'm glad you corrected me earlier on mentioning gentleman, because this is pure evil. He's a demonic being, but because it wasn't even the horrific murder. The level of sociopath this gentleman or this evil character was, because he stayed.
I look at that. Yeah. That's true evil, and I really think we're in a war now between good and evil. We
Oh,
are
100%.
at a crossroads in our country. It doesn't matter if you're a Republican or you're a Democrat. This is about good and it's
Yes.
about evil. And we
Well
have to
said.
find some common grounds,
Yes.
between, people, whatever political party you sway to. This isn't about political parties.
Right.
This is about right, wrong, good, evil. And we just have to wake up from our slumber and say, to we the people, they say, oh, there's the white hats and the black hats. No, we're the white hats. People that are citizens and patriotic and want the best for our country and our fellow citizens.
Wow.
We have to stand up and rescue ourselves. We can't wait for anybody to come to the rescue, because no one's coming to the rescue. We have to save ourselves.
Right.
We have to save ourselves. So it's about educating yourself, reading, just, being aware.
What are some of the sources?
And having a voice.
Yes. What are some of the sources you recommend? Because you're clearly well in the know.
Well, I listen to a lot. I listen to, I like Dan Bongino.
Oh,
I listen to
love
him.
it.
I listen to Charlie Kirk.
Okay.
I think he's a wealth of information.
Absolutely.
I think he's, trying to sound the alarm. Which other one? I like Tom Fitton, SGT Report, Human Events with Jack Posobiec. And then I just, I listen, the other thing is I listen to Joe Rogan.
Okay.
Joe Rogan I don't necessarily align with him politically, but he has some really compelling guests and really valid conversations. And, I just kind of, and then I read a lot of books.
Joe seems to be catering more to the information side of things as time's going on, because I think like enough alarms and red flags are going up for him that now he's actually humoring more so some of the real discussions, where before it just he didn't seem to. So yeah, he's
starting to kind of wake up.
Right.
He's kind of changed his, because he was pretty left wing.
Oh yeah. Right. He was only catering more so to that side. Yeah. Leaving out.
Exactly.
Right.
And so, I read a lot of books on President Kennedy's assassination. I've probably read about 20 to 30 books.
Wow.
And I look at that and say, well, we were all told, sold a bill of goods on that.
Right.
And so it just, there's just, I really question everything that
it's healthy.
Yeah, mainstream media has just, it's, I think it's all propaganda, to be honest with you. So I think we have to be able to discern.
Yes.
What's true, and you have to do your own investigation, do your own research.
Right.
There's sources out there, and if you start, searching resources, you can go down rabbit holes.
Right.
And I go, okay, well, that's all baloney, or okay, I can see there's some validity there. But I look at everything now kind of with a jaundiced eye, and then just say, okay, how can I make a difference? And how can I, be more informed, and just have situational awareness. Just look at everything with, where are you going? What's my surroundings? You just have to really be very vigilant today.
I couldn't agree more. And the time is now. And when it's regarding our health, it's regarding our freedoms, it's regarding our lives. There isn't time to really, just coming at day after the Super Bowl, it's just interesting. Dove into some of that with some close friends of mine, and it was so wild to see how much symbolism, how much like social conditioning was even wrapped up into that event. And I just like want to say, everything's, it's just entertainment. It's a show. They're literally trying.
It's distraction.
Yes.
It's distraction. And I even had a hard time watching the Super Bowl.
Right.
I'm sorry, but when you have two national anthems, I'm sorry. What
Right.
is that?
Right.
We have one national anthem. We're one country.
Right.
We don't need an anthem for this group of people and an anthem for another group of people.
Right.
That is disgusting.
Right.
And I'm really to the point where I'm a huge football fan and a basketball fan. You know, I'm watching college sports. And I'm to the point of just so turning off any professional sports. I'm
Right.
so turned off.
Right.
Because these people are being held up as role models.
Right.
You know. And can you imagine, you know, we have the Black National Anthem, we have the National Anthem. If they called the National Anthem the White Anthem, can you imagine the outrage there would
Right.
be? I mean, it's just, we're one country. We have one national anthem. And I still can't get past when those football players kneeled.
I can't either. I can't either.
Don't stand for the flag.
Right. Well, they even had that section. I didn't even visually see it, but the ones with me did, and they talked about it, you know, just moments after it happened. But I guess they're in the stands there. They were even talking about racism or something, like right there during, and it's just wild because it's like they're rebirthing it all. And that's it's an intentional tactic. Exactly. Exactly. In and of itself, what they're doing by the definition is the most racist movement there is. You know, because the reality to even be having all these talking points based on skin pigmentation, like what does that even matter? It doesn't matter at all.
I know it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It truly freaking does.
At the root of it, it's evil and divisive, and that in and of itself is the problem. But to your point, yeah, it's interesting. I did not watch that game on entertainment value because I mean, it just I can't shut off the switch within me knowing what I know. Just simply what the NFL, okay, this already means YouTubers, you're going to have to watch the rest of this episode on Rumble. Why? Because Nazi YouTube won't allow you to hear the truth I'm about to speak. But the NFL, well, here we are. Is what it is. It's not something ideally to do, but it must be done. Because the reality of this platform, Unmuzzled Chat, we are not going to conform and fall in line and be cowards to tyrannical platforms. So I'm so sorry to disrupt this episode. This is specifically for the YouTube crowd, an opportunity. We'd like to extend an invitation yet again to Rumble, a free speech platform. Come join us. We don't care your political views. We don't care your origins, all that freaking stats or whatever you want to freaking call it. Come join us. Have the conversations. View this episode and all further content in its entirety. There are bombshell episodes like probably this one. You need to check this one and others out on Rumble. It's no secret. YouTube now has shown its colors. Freaking Nazi platform trying to control information, withhold information that could save lives. 100%. They don't care about you. They care about their funders and appeasing them. It's sad, but it just is the way it is. And I just sure hope through what I've even dealt with here and many other patriots and many other people using this platform for truthful information and have been censored. It's just, when is enough? Okay? Let's stand strong now. Come join us. There's amazing content. We're going to get to the bottom of things. We want to find out what in fact is truthful and helpful for our mental states, our physical states, just our well-being in general. And we can't do it on this platform, unfortunately. Now, there's been whispers that maybe Elon will buy the YouTube, buy Facebook, and liberate it, similar to what has taken place on X, formerly known as Twitter. Is it perfect? Is everything perfect? No. But we, the people, can support the ones on our behalf, like just by our views, clicks, likes, and we must stand strong on this. I sure hope you see the level of importance here and that we can unite. Let's create this community. Join us. Come on the podcast. Comment. Let's get things rocking and rolling. I appreciate you guys. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you over there. God bless you.